So it's time to talk about this book, the Book of Thoth by Aleister Crowley, with the artist Frida Harris. You've seen all my videos talking about the actual deck itself, and I've realised I haven't spoken about this book. Lots of tarot readers tell their students, don't bother with this book, it's too difficult. If you like patronising, then you probably better stop watching this video now, because it's not as difficult as you think. Crowley wrote, he's an intelligent man, and he wrote to an intelligent audience. So you wouldn't really want to think of yourself as stupid, would you? So he also wrote this book and structured it in a certain way that's different from most other books on the tarot. Most other books on the tarot, like the Rider-Waite, they start off with the introduction, and then you have the picture and the words, description, and the meaning, and then they go on to the next card and so forth. And at the end they throw in the Celtic cross spread, because that's what they all do. Aleister Crowley didn't do that. He did it differently. And he's one of the key sentences is is in the biographical note that he wrote about in this book. This is the biographical note here. And in it, this is talking about Frida Harris. She accordingly forced him, the latest man in 3 continents, to undertake what is, to all intent, an original work, including the latest discoveries in modern science, mathematics, philosophy, and anthropology. In a word, to produce the whole of his magical mind, pictorially, on the skeleton of the ancient Kabbalistic tradition. He accepted this colossal burden. It renewed his energy and his enthusiasm. That's a pretty powerful statement for, he's basically describing his entire work of 50, 60 years of writing and exploring magic and philosophy and all these things. It's a big challenge to have in such a book. As you can see, it's pretty worn. I've used it a lot. This is not the first book I've had. Someone nicked mine at a talk I did many years ago. So, before I talk about this book, I want to say something about what's on the back of all the Thoth tarot cards. This symbol basically in this form, it unifies all the 78 tarot cards into the system. In the Golden Dawn system, there are extra symbols on these parts here. Don't need to worry about it. And this cross, this at the center of the cross, there is this rose. There are 3 levels of petals in there. There's 12, 7, and 3. The 12 petals represent the 12 signs of the zodiac. The 7 petals in the middle, towards the center, are the 7 planets, and the 3 in the center are the 3 mother letters, the 3 elements: fire, water, and air. And if you can look at this pattern on there, I think you can see the way these diamond shapes, they draw you into the picture. It's almost as if this cross is floating on something behind it. And the reason is, well, if you read Lon Duquette's book on the Book of Thoth he wrote, he spent a chapter on this particular symbol. It goes on and on and on and on. It never tells you why. It's very simple. This device here is a scrying symbol. It helps you improve your vision, your clairvoyance, your psychic gifts. So with that on the back of every card, it is there as a reminder that it's about taking your psychic energy, vision and powers to a greater depth. And the fact that all these cards, 78 cards, are united within this symbol. All the 78 cards are protected through whatever that card is. In this case, it's the 4 card. It's just the easiest one to pick up. So there's a powerful thing that is going on there. You know, I say to people, if you read the opening of the key spread, you'll find that your abilities to develop your psychic gifts will improve. And part of it isn't due course to this symbol that's there. That's one of the things I wanted to say about this, about the tarot. So now going back to the book, this is my version. I think the cover's changed now. On the back, you have this symbol of the god Thoth. Okay, And the symbol of the Ankh is pretty much similar to on there as well. And if you notice, it has T-A-R-O-T, T-A-R-O, so, which is part of the famous Tarot Rota Eta Torah, the wheel of Tarot turns, something like that. So the god of Thoth, he's the moon god, and he's the god of knowledge and wisdom and communication. So this is the god on the back of the wheel of Thoth. In the one of the first earliest parts of the book, we start off with is this page here, wheel and wire, and it's actually from another book. So you have to realise when you're reading the Thoth Tarot that Crowley copied and pasted portions of other books into this book. But he's put this there in a particular place, and it's from the Book of the Lies, number 78, I think, being 78 cards. And I said that the wheel of the Tarot, it turns, which shows up on the back here, is part of this thing. And this is what it says for wheel and woe. The great wheel of samsara, the wheel of the law, dharma, the wheel of the tarot, the wheel of the heavens, the wheel of life. All of these wheels be one, yet of all these the wheel of the tarot alone shines, avails thee consciously. Meditate long and broad and deep, O man, upon this wheel, revolving it in thy mind. Be this thy task, to see how each card springs necessarily from each other card, even in due order from the Fool unto the Ten of Coins. Then, when thou knowest the wheel of destiny complete, mayest thou perceive that wheel which moved it first. There is no first or last. And lo, thou art passed through the abyss. Well, you could probably write a book about what it says here, this book. The will, which he talks about, of course, is the will of the Holy Guardian Angel. So he's saying that to understand this book with the Tarot, Dharma, Samsara, the will of heavens, the will of life, all of these wills, and the way of meditating and circulating and going through the cards, which is very much the way that the book of the opening of the key spread works, is in essence this whole kind of system. And it's there, the instructions of how to read the cards and how to study this book. It's there in the Book of Lies, and that's number 78. Now the next stage to understanding this book is because he hasn't structured it in the normal ways. It's worthwhile looking at the contents. And basically there are 4 parts to the contents of the book. Part 1 is the theory of the tarot, which is very much him looking at the structure and theory of where it comes from, and the Shemhanfrest, the numbering of the cards, the Naples arrangement, a bit about the history as well of the Golden Dawn. And then part 2 is the R2 keys or trumps. And what is significant about this is that, you know, there are obviously 22 major cards. But on here, I don't know how you won't read that very well, but I can put here. The first part is that chapter there is for the Fool, and that chapter there is basically for the next 21 cards. And there's about 15 different sub-chapters for the Fool card. There's an in-depth, there's many pages he goes through just on the Fool itself. Then, for the next 21 cards, he just sort of lists them. And then he has the appendix. This is a part you're not going to probably bother with for a while. But he's added extra information about certain of the major arcana. In particular, there's Liber Aleph, which is related to the Fool. He quotes extensively from this. And then for the Magus, the Fortune card, the Will, Lust, Art, and the Universe, he takes a lot of his visions from Liber 418, the visions of the Enochian ethers as well. So he's packing a lot into just that part there. Then part 3 is the court cards, And again, there's the characteristics of the court cards as well. And then it goes on to the small cards. Quite a big chapter, as you can think of, as you can imagine. Then here's the Invocation and Mnemonics. There's an invocation he gives basically to Iwas, who is his holy guardian angel and the spirit who has probably communicated to him the Book of the Law. And then the mnemonics is a way of remembering the meanings of the major arcana, basically, in rhyming couplets. So he also, I've said that there's many books within the Book of Thoth, and he's one of the few early books. This book was published when was it published? Okay. Originally, the first 200 numbered and signed copies were in 1944. I think that was in England. It's probably one of the earliest books in that century, 1944, to use the F word. I'm not going to tell you where it is. You'll have to read it to find out. But he actually uses that naughty word in there. Catullus is a clue. So there's a lot of things in here. Now, at the back, the interesting thing of this book is that for the major arcana, in the actual section on the major arcana, he doesn't give you the divinatory meanings of the cards. He says that much later in the appendix at the back. And the appendix, it's the first appendix. Yeah, it's the appendix A. Now, the first part of Appendix A, he gives the opening of the key spread, and he does it in the form of talking about the behaviour of the tarot. He's seeing the cards as entities that move about and interact with each other. It's a slightly different form to the opening of the key spread given in the Golden Dawn. Won't bother with the reasons for that. And then he actually has the meanings of the major arcana, and he calls it the general characters of the trumps as they appear in use. It doesn't say the meaning. It says the general characters of the trumps as they appear in use. So as they appear in use is interesting. He's not talking about the meaning of the card as a static thing. This is what the 4 means, this is what the tower means, this is what the universe card means. He's talking about how these interact with each other. And it's interesting because the meanings that he gives here actually are found in this book, Aleister Crowley's The Heart of the Master. Okay, and in The Heart of the Master, he doesn't call them. The title has changed, but it's in here. It's actually this here. It's called The 2 and 20 Secret Instructions of the Master. So he actually, and in this book, as you can see, the picture of the Magus is there, and there's the words there as well, and it goes through. There's the hangman. So there's large chunk of the Heart of the Master is in the Thoth. You don't need to know this, but if you start understanding where he took things from, it will help you to give a broader picture of what's happening here. And right at the back, he has taken, we have some tables in here. Okay, these tables here, and these tables are actually from Liber 777, which is basically a bucket list of all the Kabbalistic meanings of, well, the Hebrew alphabet and magic and symbolism and many other things as well. It's a book that's well worth getting hold of. Here's my copy. The cover's fallen off. I've used it a lot. It's even got coffee stains, look. So I just wanted to start off just with an introduction to the Book of Thoth. The way to really understand it is you just have to kind of dip into it. There's a lot of mythological references in here as well. And what you have to remember is most teachers of tarot say, oh, don't use it, it's really complicated, it's really difficult, because they think you're stupid. Thank you. And if you talk to magicians, they don't know much about the Book of Thoth either. And the reason is they don't understand it. They don't really use it. And they don't want to appear ignorant, so they kind of shut up. I have found some adepts who do know about the Book of Thoth, and happy to discuss things with me. I spent one very happy afternoon talking about sex magic with an adept, and this person, we went through all of the major arcana and the descriptions, and for every one, sex magic was in there. It's a really interesting kind of thing. So this is the whole thing about the Book of Thoth. It's not done in kind of packaged things that take you on to the next stage. There's not a kind of graduation, if you like, that goes up like this. You have to jump around, and you have to sort of get familiar with the layouts of the book and start piecing pieces together. It's not a simple thing to do, but it is ultimately rewarding. It's the Shakespeare of tarot. You know, there's no one has written such an in-depth record of what the tarot is about. There's a lot in here also about magic and ritual. It's an amazing amount of things, and hints and allusions to secret rituals that we're not supposed to know about. I haven't told you, so you don't know. So there we are. Get the Thoth Tarot deck. It's really good. Get the Book of Thoth. You can Google for it. There's plenty of places you can find it as well. And also 777 is a really good sort of basis for understanding where he got some of the stuff from. He changed his views from there to when he wrote the Book of Thoth, because it's about 1900 or something like that, and this is about 40 years later. So his obviously knowledge and understanding has changed with things. And you just have to play detective and start trying to work out where things come from. One thing you can do is when you find a phrase that's in there, type it into Google and see what comes up, and sort of you know, it isn't going to make sense, but don't worry, just keep on going. You'll find your knowledge and experience increases. Have fun.